This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Westminster, Colorado. I'm here with GEAF. For over a decade, she has offered energy work sessions, readings, and numerous classes focused on spiritual growth and certification for Reiki with a shamanic twist. I am joined here with the owner, Gayle. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start off a little bit about yourself. You're formerly educated at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. You have an MBA from Regis University, and you are a certified Reiki master. You were ordained a minister and hold multiple certifications. Share with me a little bit how this journey led you to start helping other people on their spiritual journey.
Well, I like to say I was born this way, but we didn't talk about it.
Okay.
You know, it's, families, you know, we don't talk about it. It's not something that others need to know. So I grew up actually thinking everybody had this gift until I'm told otherwise. At a very young age, I would have these dreams, especially with family members who've passed. So it happened with my great-grandfather. And he came to me in a dream. And he actually sat, and he had a little urn.
Yeah.
He came out of the urn and sat across me on the other bed. Of course, I was very, very young, so I got scared, get up, and ran to my parents' room. My dad said, it was just a dream. But to this day, I can see everything. So it was more of a visitation. So I've had many of these throughout, my lifetime, but I didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
Until I got older, then I realized, wait, things that I'm picking up, people are validating that it's real. And things that I would sense, not everyone senses it, but I'll find people, and they do. And I said, okay. But I always like to help people.
Yeah.
That's always been my case. That's actually one of the positives and the negatives.
So, really, like you said, I was born this way, and you learn to develop that through the years. Is it safe to say we all have a spiritual path that we're on, and most of us probably could use a little bit of guidance along the way? Is that safe to say?
Yes, it is. But a lot of people, if they're like me, very analytical, sometimes will say, I need proof. I need proof that this is real. That's the way I was as well. So I can talk to anybody about things, whether they believe that, I totally believe it, my grandparents and, all that stuff, or show me the proof, and I'll say, okay, but be careful what you ask for. So everyone does have a gift. Everyone does have I call it a journey to go on. What they choose to do, I find that some people are being told, this is your path. So they follow it.
Okay. Not
always working out as well as they thought it would. But those people who naturally are it's like saying, I'm picking up this, my hunch says to do this. Those are the people that are called the natural born. And so they go on their journey without really realizing they're on a journey.
Interesting. All teachers begin really as students.
Yes.
When did you begin seeking out others for guidance on your path, and who are some maybe that have influenced you?
So, when I lived in Hawaii, because that's where I'm born and raised, I had several people that I knew, but I wasn't really tied into understanding the spiritual side of me until I moved to Colorado. And my first person that I met is my Reiki master teacher, Marnie Vincolisi. And so I went to this class thinking, well, I was told I should go.
Okay.
And I always felt I was a healer. So she allowed me to kind of like realize that, wait a minute, this is actually real. It's not something that, I must have just made up.
Yeah.
And then my healing started to come out and naturally developing. And then a part of my intuition and like the messages I receive, I used to just ignore it. It must be my imagination, right?
Right.
And so in one of my classes, my teacher Marnie asked me, do you receive messages when you're working on people? And I said, yes. She goes, what do you do with it? Nothing. And she says, why? And I said, because they might think I'm crazy. Or maybe I saw something on TV, and so this is, bringing it up in my mind. And so I kept giving these excuses. And finally she said, what if I told you that those messages are part of the healing process? And that all my role is to share the message, to be the messenger, to be the channel, and allow the person who receives it to do whatever they want with it.
Whatever they want. You're just a conduit.
Right. And I said, oh, I think I'll try that. And so, as I said, I'm very analytical, so I started testing it out with my clients. Before I would say nothing, just do the healing and, go from there. But then I started finding out. They would ask, how did you know? And I would say, I don't know. It kind of just popped in my head. So that really helped to open the doors to start to let my natural gifts flow.
Yeah.
The best part of this healing and sharing it with people and it just popping in my head is that it makes a difference for that person. So my belief, and this is part of from my teachers as well, we're not healers. We assist people on their healing path. That to me is a big difference. So someone doesn't get better because I did it, because I, blessed them and then they became healed. It's about working with them to help them release a lot of that trauma that can also impact the physical.
Speaking of trauma, physical, these people really end up healing themselves with the message they receive. You are now a spiritual counselor for others.
Yes.
What type of challenges have you been able to help others with by when you meet with them? Give me some examples of what you've been able to help.
So these are not really good examples in terms of positive, but it's made a difference. One of my clients, I just met her, and I'm working on her, and then right around the female area, I felt there was nothing, almost like a void. I said, that's interesting. So then I asked, because she was older, I said, are you going through the female change? Just trying to figure out. She said, no. I said, okay. She comes back for another session, and I still felt it. So I asked her, is there something going on? And then she felt comfortable enough to tell me she was sexually abused as a child by her father and her uncle. So that makes sense, all of that there. So what I helped her to understand is that it's not her fault.
Yeah.
Because I think as humans, I must have done something to encourage that kind of behavior.
Yeah.
So I let her know that no, someone imposed their will upon you without your permission. So if you have to forgive anybody, forgive yourself first.
Interesting. Help to understand there's a cause and effect, but you weren't the cause.
Right.
Which is very important.
So it helped her to feel better,
Exactly. I mean, most people out there understand what a counselor is. Many are probably unaware what a shaman is. Educate our viewers a little bit. What is an urban shaman?
Okay. So shaman comes from Siberia, the word shaman, and it became universally accepted. When I was told, you're a shaman, I said, no, I'm not. Because in my mind, you have to be traditionally trained by a shaman. All the, what most people think. So I said, no, I'm not. I'm a healer, I'm a medicine person, but I'm not a shaman. So going through that, I needed to start, me being analytical, read up more about it, understand what it is. And the definition of a shaman really tied back to a healer.
Yeah.
First and foremost, and then the messages, all these little things, I'm going, oh. But I still felt I can't say that. Because in my mind, I'm still thinking, you need to be traditionally trained. So we talked about people who were very important in my life, mentors. I have a friend called, she goes by Granddaughter Crow, or Dr. Joy Gray, PhD. So I had a reading with her, and I said, I really want to pursue this shaman path. But I try to take the classes, either I don't have the money, or the dates don't work out. And she said, why do you have to take a class? I said, so that I can actually say I'm a shaman. And she laughed. She goes, I'm the same way. She said, but what we're doing is our educational system, the education says,
Yeah.
you complete this, here's your certificate. So she says, you are looking for that certificate to say it's okay to do what you're already doing. And I sat there going, she's right. And then I said, well, what is it that I'm, missing? She goes,
Yeah.
you just have to remember what you forgot. And I did the same, but
Yeah.
what? Well, if I forgot it, how can I remember? But then things started happening,
Yeah.
and I just had this compulsion, something pushing me to do something. And that's how it began. So the doors opened when I stopped thinking I have to do, steps 1 through 30, and then take this test and do all these things. I just let it flow. And I'm not a very person who lets things flow. I admit I'm a control freak.
Yeah.
So saying let it flow was difficult. But I met another person, my friend Garrett Duncan. He's Navajo. Actually, Granddaughter Crow is Navajo Dutch. And then Garrett's Navajo. And one day he said, you're a medicine woman. I said, no. He goes, you've been native. I said, I'm Japanese from Hawaii. I'm not native. I know Polynesian. I know nothing about the Native American. He goes, not in this lifetime. So it made me have to think, but wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is what I thought it should be. All of these trainings and all the things, yet when I work with people, amazing things happens.
They are challenging you to think a different way.
Yes,
And by
exactly.
doing so, you grew through that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are you tapping into your own personal experiences, or would you say you're sharing insight from our own spiritual guides? I mean, how does a medical intuitive assist us when it comes to healing?
So part of that is, number one, allowing what comes through
Okay.
to be spoken. What is interesting is who is the one sharing the message. It may be my guides, and my guides may be saying, Gayle, share with them the story that happened to you.
Okay.
That was one way.
Interesting.
Another one would be, I'm being, I'm just asked,
Nothing.
how old are they? Well, what happened to you when you were 9 years old? And then they look at me and says, oh. And then they would say, well, how did you know this? I says, I don't know. I just heard to ask you what happened when you were 9.
So those are a couple examples right there,
Mm-hmm.
how you're able to receive that message.
Right, and the medical intuitive side is more understanding the way the body flows,
Okay.
and then identifying certain areas and going, And then I tap in even further and I'll say, I think you have an ear infection. And I would say, I'm not a doctor,
Yeah.
and I don't play one on TV. So I recommend checking with your doctor.
Right.
And then they find out, yeah, they do have an ear infection.
Interesting.
But I start to feel my ear starts to be irritated. And then so I'm like, okay, my ear's irritated. I think you have an ear infection. They said, okay, I'll look at it. And then it goes away.
Interesting. By working with the medical professionals, you're bringing something to the table they don't have.
Mm-hmm.
They're bringing something to the table you don't have. That definitely works.
Yeah.
To channel others in the spiritual world and have the gift of empath. Can these gifts also be challenging and maybe even overwhelming to experience the world in such a way that most of us don't?
Yes. So I want to say I was a reluctant channel.
Okay.
I said absolutely not. Nobody is going to talk through me until I can make sure, check the credentials first.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
All of this stuff was part of me. And so it was an interesting play, I call the guides. When I finally said, okay, because a friend of mine told me, you're going to be channeling. I said, no, you know me, I won't do that. But then it happened. But I stepped out somewhere. So I kind of felt like I can feel their energy, loving energy. And then I say, okay, I'll let them speak. And then I don't know what was said. Then when they're done, I'm like, okay, I can come back now. And they're like, that was amazing. I'm like, I have no idea what was said.
Oh, yeah.
But then I thought about it. I'm such a control freak, and I'm concerned about what they're saying, because, well, what would they think about me? All of that stuff goes away.
Trying to filter some
Exactly.
of that instead of letting it flow right through you.
Right. So, I mean, I learned, and there are things I swear that when I listen to, because my friend started recording it for me, I would say, that is amazing. I've never thought of that before. And then I'll stop and kind of laugh going, wait, it came out of me, but it's not, maybe it's not the way I speak.
Yeah.
I never even considered that. Or it's like, wow, an epiphany. So my need to get, to have proof, to validate, these things are saying, well, Gayle, you wanted it, here you go. Now what am I supposed to do with it?
Exactly. I mean, during your energy work sessions, I mean, you're really scanning the body, really for emotional, physical imbalances, as well as energy blockages. Do most people that you work with have these issues, would you say? And how long is each session to really discover what's not flowing?
So, like any other, appointments, we have to set a time frame. So I generally do it for an hour. If somebody wants to come half an hour, or even talk at a fair, it's shorter time period.
Okay.
I can't tell you one session is all you need or you're going to be healed. I would love that. In fact, I love it if they don't have to come back to me. Come back to me if you want to have maintenance or something, but we want to get this done so that remember I said I'm helping them heal. So that session allows them to understand, oh, now I understand what I've been holding on to so long, and go, so then they can do their own. But it really depends, and I'm famous for not always staying on time because I let the guides, if there's more messages, I let it flow.
Right.
And other times I was like, I got nothing.
Right, exactly.
I got nothing.
And they're not playing on the same time schedule we are anyway,
Right.
So that makes it very hard.
But if anything, I say, worst case scenario, you're going to feel relaxed. So if I'm not getting any messages, I'm still working on them. And I think we all have blockages. It's just the stuff that we hold on to, and it may be from years ago, or maybe somebody cut you off when you're coming in, so you're still angry. Those are the things we can work with. And I keep saying we, because I will just say, okay, this is what I'm picking up. What's going on here? Now, oh, I don't know. And as we start talking, I can start moving things, and they'll say, I felt that. I said, isn't that cool? I'm never saying, I'm up here and you're down here. I'm right there with you.
No, right there with you.
Right.
You're experiencing the same thing. You're probably just as surprised as they are many times.
And absolutely.
Without a doubt. During a healing session, are you actually receiving messages from our guides and even our past life events? And are some of our past issues kind of tied in to our current conditions, would you say?
In the beginning, not so much.
Okay.
But as I started to progress in that, I guess you say developing my technique, more and more happened. Sometimes it's related to past lives. Sometimes it's related to this current life. So it may be my guides or your guides coming in. And sometimes it's members who've passed. And if the family member passed, I'll just share whatever it is that they want. I had a gentleman very upset because the person he wanted to come through didn't come through. I says, I don't control that.
Yeah.
It's whoever comes in, comes in. Because I don't even know that person. And I said, okay, well, maybe you can find out. I said, but was the message relevant? He said, well, yes. And I said, well, there you go.
Well, they know you. You may not know them,
Right,
but they know you pretty well.
Exactly.
For those who are not looking maybe for healing, but maybe just looking for answers, are readings something you provide? And can these be done in person, long distance, on the phone, Zoom? Tell me about that.
So it could always do that. I didn't think I could. I didn't have the confidence. But the pandemic happened. And so we had to do things online. Then I started noticing, it's actually working. And I'm still getting messages, or they're sitting, on the other side of the screen, I'm going,
Yeah.
oh, I'm seeing something there. So I started to say, oh, this makes sense. Then I started to be having clients from different countries.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, you can do it anywhere.
Great. When COVID hit, a lot of people realized we have connections across the world we don't
Right.
even realize, and that's something would definitely benefit both parties.
Right.
One of the energy work specialties you offer is Reiki. Can you explain what that is for my viewers?
Okay, to make it as simple as possible, the word they say, it's the universal life force energy. I'm like, okay, that's so out there. What it is a simple thing, and I do this with the kids, do the adults. I say, just put your hands together. And then move it out maybe 2 inches. And start to move your hand a little bit. You'll start to sense something. between your hands. You can make it bigger and bigger. So you start to feel or sense this energy that we work with. It's not something that I created. It's just there. So we work with that energies that's already existing to assist you in this process. That makes it a whole lot easier. I don't have to create something new.
As we all know, everything is energy.
Exactly.
I mean, we're learning that more and more. Americans are learning it. People in the East have learned it many years before us.
Right.
And we're just catching on now.
Right.
I mean, you are certified in Reiki and also help others become certified with really a shamanic twist, as you say. How does your teaching differ from traditional Reiki and maybe most are familiar with?
Okay, so number one, I do call it Reiki with a shamanic twist.
Yes.
It actually started off with a marketing point of view. I have my MBA, we have to think about that.
Right.
So I said, what is it that I do differently? Because there's a lot of people out there, they say they teach Reiki. They're certified people. So one thing different, I said Marnie Vincolisi is my teacher, my Reiki master teacher, so she taught me the foundation. And again, we're learning there's different symbols, but really what I focus on is about the intuition and how I'm going to allow you to start feeling more comfortable with your gifts. So as we're doing you can feel the energies or sense it, because some people don't feel it. They start to work with it, and then they're like, and I said, what? They said, I got this message about the person I'm working on. I don't know what to do. I said, why don't you ask? So it's a natural progression. There's something that they're picking up.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned before, it's part of the healing process. So that's where my technique is a little different. Traditional Reiki is very regimented. Yeah. It's like, you have to go through certain steps, get certified, you have to do. The teacher will tell you when you're ready. Marnie taught me non-traditional Reiki. So you still learn all the symbols, you still learn the foundation, but we add more to it. We allow these newer symbols that came in, probably started in the 70s, but we're also able to use crystals, essential oils, tuning forks, all these other things to assist. So when I'm helping somebody on their healer's path and they want to take Reiki, they start to develop based on the recipe that we're given. Here's your recipe. And as you know, over time, if you keep cooking the same thing, you're like, I think I want to take this one out, put this instead. And then they start to develop their own techniques.
So really, the foundation is Reiki, but this is Reiki enhanced or Reiki on steroids.
Exactly.
Really, with your own
twist. But it
twist.
opened the door. I mean, this is a joke, but one of my friends said, Reiki is like a gateway drug. I'm like, but that's the thing, it does open the door. Once you can start understanding, well, I didn't make that up. Ooh, I'm sensing something that gives you more confidence to move a little forward. And everything that I do and everything that my students do, it comes from the heart. So the ego has no play in this.
Gateway is a natural drug. Gateway, natural drug.
Right.
That makes sense from a marketing standpoint.
Right.
Your energy work readings, channeling is all done here at your location in Westminster, where you also have products that you provide for people. Tell me a little bit about that, what people are going to find if they make an appointment with you, and are these available online as well?
Okay. So I did try to do some things online because of the pandemic. I'm not really a warehouse person, to fill it. What I carry are tools to assist you or assist the individual on their healing journey. So I have a lot of crystals. I have a lot of tools that I receive to make from the guides as well. So there are some unique things that I offer.
Yeah.
And one of them is a spray. I'm going, okay, everybody has a spray. You put a nice smell on it, it's good. But actually it started off where I started receiving messages from different spirit animals. Now my friend Garrett, the one who's a Navajo, he used to make sprays. So I went to him, Garrett, all of these guides are coming here, all the spirit animals are waiting in line. You need to make those sprays. He goes, I'm not making them, you are. And I said, but you're the spray dude. But he goes, just sit down and allow. And I had been buying these oils, the essences, and I'm like, I don't know why. It's that one of those compulsion things to do. And then I started receiving, you put X amount of drops of this, X amount of drops of that. And sometimes I'm like, you really want to put that in? But a lot of the things that I offer are really coming through the guidance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm like, people are going to think I'm crazy. I said, well, crazy is the new normal. I can't undo what I'm receiving, but the end results are the proof that I look for.
So not only hand-picked products, but guide-picked products
Mm-hmm.
end up on your shelf.
Exactly.
That's the way it works.
Exactly.
Gayle, you were raised in Hawaii and moved to Colorado in 1997. You have always believed in sharing your gifts with others and teaching others how to find and share their own spiritual gifts. Has this been rewarding work for you?
Absolutely. You know, I think I want to say by age 12, I was already thinking about my resume, making it in corporate America, you know, making the family proud.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of burns you out because really what I realize is I'm becoming the person I think the boss wants me to be. But ultimately, my goal is to really help others. It's like whether it's animals, whether it's kids, whether it's adults. So that is where my true joy comes in. And like I said, I don't heal them. I assist them in their healing process. And to see them grow, or even my students, to see them flourish. You know, they're not doing Reiki anymore. I said, it doesn't matter. I said, how are you doing? Doing great. Are you, following your heart? Yes, I am. I said, then there we go.
Yeah,
My work's
it's all
done.
good. Like you said, you were born this way.
Mm-hmm.
You were born to help others.
Yes.
Excellent story. Viewers, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is her website. On the website, basically, you're going to see a little bit of an online store, but really, if you're in the Westminster area, set up an appointment. You can come in and check out a lot of things she has on the shelf that she has handpicked or guide-picked and ended up right on the shelf as well. You can also set up any one of her sessions right there online. Contact her, reach out there on the website. She also has a Facebook page as well. Once again, that is Give Gifts with Gayle Fowler. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.